movie talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us on this very exciting show today is John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. It's a day of champions. We got Olympians, Miss Californians, and I'm just a champion at life.
Miss Californians.
Really.
We also have the host of Collider General Counsel, Kristian Harloff.
That's yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also back from his trip in Japan, Dennis Zen.
Dennis is back.
Hey everyone, yeah, I had a wonderful time in Japan. I'm obviously jet lagged because yesterday I tried to open my parking garage door.
I read this on Facebook.
With my power windows on my car. I was like, pressing that, I was like, open. Why isn't the garage opening? Okay.
And the funniest thing is, Dennis and I have been around each other when we've been frustrated at things. I could just picture him tired and frustrated going, why is this not open?
Somebody get Grandpa some milk.
Yeah, why isn't it open? But I'm super excited to have our special guest here today.
Yes.
And our special guest is the one and only Cody Miller.
Woo!
Hey guys,
Woohoo!
thanks for having me. I'm an Olympic swimmer, but movies are my #1 passion. Big fan of the show. I literally watch it every day, so to be here and meet everybody is amazing. And thanks for having me on the show. This is awesome.
Well,
I'm excited to talk movies.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the Olympics were coming up, and we were so excited because, you know, we've been following you on Twitter, and you've been tweeting to us as well, and then watching you win a gold medal, and then watching you win the bronze, or like a 2-time Olympic medalist. To have you on our show is just an awesome privilege. We're so glad you're here.
You should have seen all of us too, by the way. He came in and he's like, yeah, I brought the medals if you guys want to see it. Like, you want to see it?
I wish we had loaded up the pictures because Wendy and Natasha.
We were freaking out. I'm still shaking, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it was so exciting.
It's really
so
cool.
excited to have you.
But it's really great to have you here, and we got a lot of stuff to cover today. So Natasha, let's get to it.
Okay, during a live stream for the upcoming release of Gears of War 4, Microsoft announced that a feature film adaptation of the popular video game series is being developed with producers Dylan Clark and Scott Stuber. Gears of War is a military sci-fi shooter that centers on the soldiers of Delta Squad in their last-ditch fight to save the human inhabitants of the planet Sera from an invasion of unstoppable subterranean creatures known as the Locust Horde. No release date has been set. John, thoughts on a Gears of War movie happening at Universal?
Okay, before I talk about why this is so great and everything, I try to temper my enthusiasm for news about big video game franchises coming, because we've heard a lot of big video game titles being developed into movies and then nothing happening, and then more nothing happening, and then more nothing happening. This, though, is a good idea. Not a lot of games lend themselves to something that could be told in a narrative sort of way. I think your base story here is something you can not just build a movie around, you can build a franchise around this if you do it right. How fast or how slow this thing goes in development, though, I have a feeling it's going to depend a lot on Assassin's Creed, because we knew this was going to be the year that video game movies could really break out. Warcraft came along. While I enjoyed it, it was not as good as I was hoping it would be, and a lot of people just flat out didn't like it. So now all of our hopes are resting on Assassin's Creed. That'll have a big thing to do with this. Anyway, Kristian, what do you think about this?
Listen, I agree with you that it's all going to hinge whether or not Assassin's Creed is good, and I don't think it should. Because I think,
I agree.
I think that there are movies, and this movie certainly lends itself to, like you're saying, a franchise. It was a movie that I'm surprised hasn't happened a long time ago. They've been talking about it for a very long time. Just the trailers alone, even if you haven't played the game and you watch the trailers, like, this is a movie, and could be lent for some really cool character development, really cool world building. So I think this is going to happen, and I happen to think that this, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, I think this is going to be the one that starts off the end.
Really? Before knowing a director or writers or cast?
I know. I think that it has the most. I think it has the most that lends itself. I mean, Assassin's Creed certainly has a lot going for it, for sure, and I'm rooting for that film, but there's just something about this, and maybe just because I'm a sci-fi kind of fantasy dude altogether, that I'm rooting for it even more so. But yeah, I really think this is going to happen, and I think the Assassin's Creed is going to be pretty good. So,
Cody, you hear about this news. Does it make you excited?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi fan as well, and I never personally played the Gears of War game, but I mean, I'm a big-time gamer. I play a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Halo, and I think that, like you said, it lends itself to world building, and I mean, it was one of the first games that I watched that really blended the storytelling of the actual characters within the game and the actual gameplay itself. It was very cohesive, and that's like a beautiful thing, and that's why I think that the game has such a hardcore cult following. So, I mean, yeah, and as you said, like, eventually one of these video game movies is gonna blow up. It's just a matter of when, and I think that the fact that we put them all in the same pot and kind of compare them all to one another isn't necessarily fair because they're all so different. But yeah, it's definitely gonna happen, and I'm excited because, I mean, just the premise alone is amazing.
Dennis.
Yeah, I'm also excited. I played the first one. I really enjoyed it. And, I actually thought Halo would be the first of the Microsoft properties that was going to make it to the big screen first, but this is a good one. Riley had sent us some notes about how the Rod Ferguson, the studio head of developers, said that, he mentioned that he wanted the movies to be the movies, and that's actually a very good sign because we've seen in the past with movies that tried and cater to the video game audience, and the video game audience is not going to keep a movie of this size alive. They have to be successful because the casual movie-going audience wants to see them.
We often talk about comic book to movie adaptations that you have to adapt. A lot of times something that works on a printed page doesn't necessarily work in the big screen. You got to adapt it. Civil War worked great as a movie because they adapted it. And I think to the point you're making, Dennis, is absolutely right. You've got to adapt these games, understand, okay, this isn't a video game now. Now it's a movie and you got to approach it as such. But a couple of you guys brought up Halo. So let me throw out just a side question here. Obviously, Peter Jackson, Neil Blomkamp, years and years and years ago, they said they were going to do it. It never happened. Probably the most iconic of the first-person shooters, Halo, especially in the modern console era. Just under, let's just go 50%, Dennis. The chances that we're ever going to get an actual, forget this little stuff that we get online, but an actual Halo feature film, over or under 50%?
Over.
Over?
I'm going to say under.
A little bit too late?
Well, not too late, I think, because of the rights, and Microsoft has been really difficult with the rights, so I think it's going to be under.
Cody?
I say way over. I think that Halo is, I mean, it may not be the biggest game right now, but it is world famous. Everybody loves that game. Any gamer nowadays they still reference Halo as being one of the greats, and not just the game itself, but the lore within it.
Right.
It's got to happen.
I'm going to take this very slight under, because I agree with everything Cody's saying, but it has been years. They had opportunities to do it. They didn't do it. Microsoft is very controlling of their IP, understandably so. So I'm going to go slight under, but don't be surprised if we see it happen. Yeah. All right, what's next?
For our next story, we are issuing a spoiler alert, so if you'd like to remain clear of story details for the newly titled Wolverine 3 movie Logan, turn the volume down or just skip ahead. Okay, according to The Wrap, plot details have been released for the March 3rd, 2017 release of Logan. The movie, which takes place in 2024, is reportedly darker than all previous Wolverine and X-Men movies, with Logan's powers fading and his healing factor degenerating. Professor X, who is said to be accompanying Logan, doesn't remember Logan either, with his own powers being described as unstable. We find that a government-type operation called Transigen is turning mutant children into killing machines, and the girl in the poster has 2 claws instead of his 3. Cody, what do you think about the new plot details for Logan?
I mean, I love them. I think one of the big things that we've been missing in all the X-Men movies and the Wolverine movies is a sense of, like, dire need, like, for Wolverine. Like, I never felt like he was in any sense of real peril or real danger. I never felt like he might actually die. And hearing this news, it kind of sounds like he might be in for it, right? Like, what if they killed Wolverine? I mean, I don't know. I don't want him to die. Like, I love Wolverine. He's like everyone's favorite character, but I feel like there's a sense of a little bit of tension, and I think that's great. Also, real quick, this morning my friend sent me the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you guys follow Ryan Reynolds on Twitter, but that poster, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's like, that's my hand holding Wolverine's hand. And then they reference the photo of him from Deadpool when his little wimpy hand is going back. It's so, I lost it when I saw it. It was so funny.
You know the funniest thing? I have another friend who actually believed it was real. I do, I swear. I have a friend who believed. Anyway, Dennis, what do you think about this stuff?
To be honest, I'm a little disappointed. I don't know why I'm surprised, because we had seen those behind-the-scenes set photos of some of these sequences, and I referenced Old Man Logan, the original comic book, where it was more of a post-apocalyptic thing, where this seems like a more dystopian type of storyline. Yeah, I agree, though. Like, having him be kind of diminished in his powers may give a sense of danger, and it being R-rated makes me excited. I'm still excited for the movie. I'm just saying, in contrast to what the actual original comic book was, I'm a little disappointed.
I'm a little bit down the middle of the road, more to the enthusiastic side though, because look, we talked about the poster the other day, and we talked about how I just love the idea of the juxtaposition of that little hand representing innocence, representing frailty, representing something needing defending, and then the hand of Logan, which is symbolic of pain and torture, what he's been through in his life and rage and all that kind of stuff. And I think with that R rating, what they're bringing to this sounds, look, I really do. I believe it. I believe we could see Wolverine die in this one. It is Hugh Jackman's final film in the role, that at least he says it is. And so he's aging, he's whatever. I see him probably riding off to the sunset, a heroic death, whether it's 23 or whatever that he's saving at the end. So I gotta say, I do kind of like it. I know a lot of people, myself, are a little bit disappointed it's not a little bit more of a true old man Logan scenario. Yeah. But we knew with all the character rights, that was going to be difficult to pull off. But anyway, Kristian, you hear about this. What do you think?
I love these details. I think it's great. I mean, you're not always, there's a lot of different things that have changed. Like Days of Future Past changed a lot from what it ultimately became. And they're doing things, like you said, the character right's going to change it from being what the old man Logan thing is. But for what I like about it is, because we've seen Wolverine before lose his powers in the last Wolverine movie, but it wasn't done naturally. And this, it's like it's just happening because he's getting older. He's been around forever. I love that idea, and I love even that poster showed a more independent film feel to this and a more gritty feel. And what we've been saying about some of these movies, these big budget superhero movies, it's like, what happens if you stripped it down? Not even just superhero movies. Like I've been screaming for Terminator to go back to the 1984 version and get that kind of gritty feel. And that's what this seems like so far, with character details making it rated R. I love the fact that Professor X is losing it a little bit also. What's going to happen with their dynamic? I think this is a really cool way to tell a new Wolverine story. So I like what I'm hearing, and I'm actually really excited for this movie.
You brought up a really interesting point, and I can't believe I didn't think of it. It happens once in a while. Can't believe I didn't think about it too. It's going to be great. No one's come out and flat out said it, but I think it's safe to say this is probably going to be the last time we see Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier. No. I know, it's horrible.
You don't think he's going to show up in the next?
I don't think he will. I don't think he will. And it's going to be really special for me, I think, to see these two guys, because they've walked, and seeing them together at Comic-Con, these guys just adore each other. And to see them on screen one more time together, I think is going to be really cool. All right, folks, it is Thursday, which means it's time for us to talk about what is opening this week, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. We already talked about one film earlier this week. We got two more wide-release films. Natasha, what do we got?
Okay, first up, we have The Birth of a Nation. Nat Turner is an enslaved Baptist preacher who lives on a Virginia plantation owned by Samuel Turner. With rumors of insurrection in the air, a cleric convinces Samuel that Nate should sermonize to other slaves, thereby quelling any notions of an uprising. As Nate witnesses the horrific treatment of his fellow man, he realizes that he can no longer just stand by and preach. On August 21st, 1831, Turner's quest for justice and freedom leads to a violent and historic rebellion in Southampton County. Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life. Rafi Khatchatorian, played by Griffin Gluck, has an epic imagination and a slight problem with authority. Both collide when he transfers to a middle school where students are expected to follow the rules.
Middle school, couldn't care less any day of my life. I don't know. Look, it's not just that I'm not the demographic this movie's targeted at, and I'm not. But sometimes good ones come out and they do catch my attention. I want to see them. I have no interest in this. Hopefully, it's going to come out and it's going to be awesome. I'm just saying I don't have a lot of hope for it. Birth of a Nation. All right. Let's get the elephant in the room. We know there's a lot of controversy behind the camera with this thing. That's not the purview of our discussion here. We're going to try to just focus on talking about the movie itself. And this movie has been getting buzz since its first festival screening, as a lot of people are using the word masterpiece. It's a timely movie. It's a socially relevant movie. How good is the movie? I'm going to find out tonight when I go see it finally, because I haven't had a chance to see the screenings of it so far. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's as good as people are saying it is. Dennis, which of these movies stand out to you?
Well, like you, I'm not that interested in middle school. I actually hadn't even heard of the movie. I don't know if it's because I've been gone or whatnot. Birth of a Nation, yeah, with the controversy surrounding it, I don't know how it's going to affect people's opinion when they watch the movie, because there was such
or if they'll watch the movie.
Yeah, if they'll watch it, or if they watch it, if it's going to be tempered, because I remember when it came out of Sundance, there was huge buzz. This is going to be an Oscar winner. It's going to be a front runner. And then there's been some screenings and people have seen it, and I've heard kind of more of, not that the movie is bad per se, but that, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And is that being affected by what's happening outside of the movie? Are people going in thinking about all that other stuff, and it's affecting their viewpoint of this film? That's what I'm interested in, what you're going to think after you see it tonight.
Yeah, Kristian.
Well, first of all, it had nothing to do with the fact that you were gone, because I just found out about this movie in our production meeting, middle school, that is. And I don't know. I mean, it's one of those movies I kind of hope that I walk into and I go, well, that was a kind of cute, clever movie. Obviously, it's a best-selling series, so maybe they were able to transfer that onto the big screen. We'll see. Birth of a Nation's a movie that I've been talking about for a very long time. And the thing is, they did start screening it, then the controversy happened. They stopped kind of doing a lot of press for it. Then I believe that they screened it at TIFF recently.
Yeah, they did.
And it started to build up that buzz again. To your point, as far as how some people were like, there were some people in the initial run in Sundance, even Scott Mantz, who had seen it, said, just okay. It was fine. There were some other people that had saw it. But I do think that it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard to watch this movie and be subjective and to just really look at it and say, focus on the movie and try to judge the art on this one and not the artist. Just try if you can, because there are a lot of other people involved in this movie, that this could be something that needs to be seen right now. I haven't seen it. I want to see it, so I'm very excited to see how it turned out.
Cody, you looking forward to either one of these?
Well, like you guys said, I'd never even heard of middle school. But one of my favorite things is when you've never heard of a film and then you watch it and you end up loving it.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw The Duff. I don't know if you guys ever
yeah.
saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. And, Allie and I watched it, and I thought it was hilarious. So maybe it's a pleasant surprise. I certainly hope so. And obviously, Birth of a Nation. I'm a big Oscar movie fan. I watch all those Best Picture noms every year. And, I've been hearing about this from you guys and from a lot of people for a long time. And so I'm really excited to see it. And I have to echo what Kristian said. I think that you need to judge the art, not the artist. And so all of those personal things aside, I'm really, really excited to see this movie, and I think it's going to be pretty great. So.
And it's especially important for us to keep in mind, too, when they were having any discussion about this. This is a little bit different from, like, say, a Mel Gibson situation, right? Where Mel Gibson did the things he was accused of doing. He did them, and he was caught and whatever. We don't know what all the facts are surrounding Turner's situation, and so we just have to kind of try to... Parker, sorry. Yeah. We got to take a step back and just take a breath and just try to keep that separate from the issue until we do know what's happened. So, and that's difficult for us as human beings to do.
And also, I would say, obviously we're huge movie fans and we're, very, very much within the industry and aware of everything. But I think like the general public, when they see this movie, may not put two and two together. Like it's not
That's
not everywhere. So obviously, like people are talking about whether or not it's going to affect its Oscar chances, which it very well could or not. But in terms of box office, I don't see it. What do I know? But I don't see it affecting in the box office all that much. Yeah.
On a side note, Kristian, you know who's in The Duff?
Yeah, I do. Oh man, say it.
Mae Whitman.
Mae Whitman. Why wasn't she in Independence Day 2? Smart move, Mae Whitman.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Natasha's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Natasha, what do we got?
According to a new report from Variety, it looks like the upcoming Han Solo spin-off movie is moving a bit closer to adding another lead opposite Alden Ehrenreich's scruffy-looking nerf herder. Sources tell the outlet that Zoe Kravitz, Creed star Tessa Thompson, and Power Rangers Naomi Scott have all tested in London this past week for the female lead in the yet untitled Star Wars story. Kristian, buy or sell that the three actresses up for the female lead in the young Han Solo spin-off is for the role of Sana from the comics?
I would have bought it, so I'm going to sell it because of Naomi Scott. Because I believe she's the only one out of the three that is not African American. I think.
I think she's an Indian background.
Yeah, because she's a sweetheart too. I got to interview her actually at Comic-Con this year, but that was the only reason why. For those of you who don't know who Sana is, when the whole thing about Han Solo has a wife, and it turned out in the comic that she had done some jobs with him in the past. I'm not 100% selling it because it's certainly possible, but I just think that if you're going to cast Sana, then you should definitely cast, I think, Tessa Thompson. And I think out of the three of them, Tessa has the best acting chops out of the three. They're all talented, but I just think for me personally, if you're going to cast Sana, I'm going to say it should be Tessa Thompson. Could be interesting because the way that they played, and I would like to see a little bit more backstory than tie into all of the canon stuff. So I'm not opposed if it is going to be her. I just don't particularly think it's going to be in this movie. Is it the love interest? Absolutely. I just don't think it's going to be Sana.
What do you think, Dennis?
Having not read the comic books, I can't buy or sell whether or not either one of these three are going to be that character. But I'm with you with Tessa Thompson. I think she's the front runner because she has a bigger track record. She's been in these higher profile movies and in bigger roles. You know, something obviously like Creed. She was in Selma. Where Naomi Scott, I haven't seen her anything. I met her when we interviewed her for Power Rangers at Comic-Con. She's a very, very nice girl, but I haven't seen much from her. And Zoe Kravitz, she was a throwaway character in First Class. Like, they didn't really do much with her. She was in Mad Max. I think she was good, but it was a limited role.
She was really good in Dope.
Yeah, actually, she was good in Dope. Yeah. I'll give her that.
So I feel like Tessa Thompson is the one who's kind of, you know, now she's going to be in Thor Ragnarok, and I think it's just, I think time for her to shine.
What do you think, Cody?
I think that Tessa Thompson is probably the front runner. I mean, in my opinion, and I haven't read the comic books either, so I don't know the character real well. But I would say after seeing her in Creed, she was amazing. I mean, we rave about Sylvester Stallone and we rave about all the performances in that movie, but I think she's kind of, you know, flying under the radar and deserves a little more credit because her performance in that movie was great. And if that tells us anything, I think she'd probably be awesome.
Yeah, look, I'm actually a little bit bigger on Zoe Kravitz than most people because, I mean, outside of her X-Men thing, which you're right, was a total throwaway role. She wore wings real well, but aside from that, kind of a throwaway role. But it's Tessa Thompson. It has to be. She is the most talented on this list. She has a lot of momentum going. Dennis was mentioning Thor Ragnarok. She's also stars in that new show on HBO, Westworld. Yep. She's got a lot of momentum going right now, and it's not just because of her celebrity. It's because she's really damn good. And you're right. She gets overlooked in Creed.
She was awesome in
Creed.
She
anchored that outside Stallone factor, you know, with Adonis. I mean, you needed that there. And it just reminds, I don't know why I'm thinking about that scene now, at the end, right before he's about to have his big fight. You know, Adonis and Rocky are in the hotel room, and I can't remember what Rocky was trying to say, but he had set up that Tessa was going to show up at the room. One of my favorite scenes of that entire movie. That scene is great.
You know, real quick, Dennis brings up a great point with Thor Ragnarok. She's already in the Disney family. Yeah. So you know, the fact that's gonna help a lot. Yeah.
At this point, I'd kind of be surprised if it's not her. All right, what's next?
Okay, Netflix has become one of the most exciting studios of the moment, but the main thing that's kept their films out of the Oscar race is the theatrical rule. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports that Netflix has struck a deal with iPic Entertainment, a luxury theater chain, that will see Netflix films screened in iPic theaters in New York and LA at the same time as their streaming premieres. This means that the films that screen in this matter are now eligible for Oscar consideration. Dennis, buy or sell Netflix movies as eligible for Oscar consideration?
This is a big buy for me, as long as this is a long game thing, where it's not like they expect, okay, we're going to make this deal with iPic and we're going to show the movie, and then this year suddenly we're going to get nominated for an Oscar. They have to plant the seeds now, because, you know, even with the television thing, which is an easier transition for them with the streaming service, it took a little while for people to accept, okay, now these streaming services are creating quality shows that deserve Emmy nominations. With the Oscars and the movie theaters, it's going to be a longer journey. So they have to plan for years and years in order to get that respectability. Because right now, I think like with last year with Beasts of No Nation, it was blocked, or not blocked, but it was snubbed. Didn't have any nominations for the Oscars. And Idris Elba got, I think, a Golden Globe nomination.
I think he won.
No, I think did he win?
I thought he did. Maybe I could be
know.
wrong.
I know for sure.
Don't argue with the gold medal.
He just had to show me the gold medal. Right, you're right. But it's going to take a little while to get into, especially in the older Oscar voters' minds.
What do you think, Kristian?
I think it's a big buy. I think it's smart. I think Netflix continues to make smart moves. This is a way for them to evolve. This is a way for them to, if you start and I agree with Dennis, it's got to be a long game thing, and I think it is. Everything they do is long game stuff. This is really smart. Look what they've done just alone with television. They've changed the game with television, with their when starting with House of Cards and everything that they've done with their series. It's like, I just watched that show Timeless the other day. And it's such a network television show, and it just when you compare it to what Netflix does now, and the reason I bring this up is because they're going to make the next move here in the theater chain by putting their movies out there, they're trying to find every way to go, okay, well, you guys didn't look at one of our movies that was clearly one of the best. What do we need to do? All right, let's do it. And then you're gonna see more of this happen. Gradually, it's going to keep happening. More of their movies are going to come out. Their players are not going anywhere. So, yeah, this is a huge buy. Very smart.
Okay, it is a smart move for them, so I'm going to buy the move. And it's an easiest thing in the world to do. And actually, when it came to Beasts of No Nation, it made me scratch my head. Why didn't they just do what they needed to do to meet the eligibility rules? The eligibility rule is a simple thing to do. I could shoot a 20-minute feature right now and meet the eligibility rule. Here it is. The Oscar rule states, a film is eligible for Oscar consideration if it screens screens in a commercial motion picture theater in Los Angeles County for at least 7 consecutive days, during which screenings occur at least 3 times a day between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. It's simple. I can book a theater right now, a theater here in town, and do that. Why they didn't do that before, I don't know. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, yes, Netflix made Beasts of No Nation. That was a great movie. This is also the studio that did the Ridiculous 6 and the Do-Over. I mean, come on. So, I mean, they're doing great television stuff, but let's not get our head. They did one really good one. Bravo. And it was great. But they've also put out a lot of crap with their original movies as well. Their television stuff, they're kicking ass and taking names. But
It's a young season.
hey, we qualify for Oscars now. Good for you. Like, get the Do-Over Part 2 going. I'm sure Sandler needs some Oscar love. I don't know. Cody, what do you think about this movie? Buy or sell it?
Netflix is changing the game. I mean, those streaming services like Hulu, their movies are just as worthy of being nominated for Oscars and major awards as any. So they just need to be recognized. And one of my favorite movies was Beasts of No Nation. I thought Idris Elba was like my favorite performance of that year, and I honestly believe that he should have been nominated for an Oscar. But that aside, yeah, like everything you guys said, I mean, it's the way that things are changing. It's the way things need to happen.
All right, what's next?
The first image from the upcoming sports drama Borg McEnroe has been released, revealing actors Shia LaBeouf and Sver Gunnarsson playing McEnroe and Borg respectively. The movie tells a story about the rivalry between hot-headed tennis star John McEnroe and Swedish player Bjorn Borg in the late 70s and 80s, with the movie chronicling the 14 times the two rivals met on the court. Borg McEnroe is expected to hit theaters in 2017. John, buy or sell the first image for Borg McEnroe?
I'm honestly a little confused how excited I am for this movie. First of all, McEnroe, I'm not a huge tennis guy, I'm not, but McEnroe was the guy when I was a kid growing up and there would be tennis on, it was John McEnroe. It was McEnroe and Borg. I mean, those were the guys. You had the one German player whose name is eluding me at the moment, Becker. There's Boris Becker was in there too. You had Yvonne Lendl in that era as well. But I mean, these were the guys, and McEnroe was this larger-than-life personality. To this day, there hasn't been a larger-than-life personality than John McEnroe. He's the gold standard as far as sports personalities go, and he still plays competitively. Right now, at this age, you put in Shia LaBeouf. Look, we can make all the jokes in the world that we want to about Shia LaBeouf. We can make all the commentary in the world about how crazy the dude is and how he handles his personal life and all. Fine. The dude can flat-out act. What was the name of the World War II movie with War Daddy?
Fury,
yeah.
Fury. He stole the movie.
Totally.
He absolutely stole that movie. And when you see him do some of that smaller stuff, some of the indie things he's done the last couple of years, you realize, damn, now I see what Spielberg always saw in this kid. Because remember, he was Spielberg's golden child for a while, and now they're bickering, but whatever. I think this looks awesome. I can't wait. It is a huge buy for me. What do you think, Dennis?
I'm buying it for sure. I actually used to play tennis, and I used to follow it. I actually followed more McEnroe, Connors, Jimmy Connors, and Yvonne Lendl. And so Borg was someone I was familiar with, but I didn't know the backstory until I watched that HBO documentary, Borg and McEnroe, Fire and Ice.
Awesome.
Right, that was so good.
Yeah, it got me interested. And so them making a movie out of this and casting Shia LaBeouf, he's a guy who, to a lesser degree, what we mentioned before, where his outside activities affect how people perceive him. Because sometimes I still see people, he's a terrible actor. No, he's not a terrible actor. He's a fantastic actor who just has this crazy stuff. And he even mentioned it when discussing this film, that he is similar to McEnroe, where he kind of has these same personality quirks. So, and this picture looks awesome. It looks like, if you didn't really know too much about who these guys were, like, oh, this looks like a picture from that era.
Cody, we were talking about this beforehand.
Yeah.
And you're loving this story.
I'm loving this. I mean, obviously, I'm a really big sports fan. And growing up, I'm from Las Vegas, and growing up there, everyone's a big fan of Andre Agassi.
Oh, sure,
I'm just a huge fan of Andre Agassi. And I mean, I knew who these guys were growing up. I mean, I've heard about them, and that HBO documentary was flat out amazing. So I'm super pumped for this movie. And on the note of Shia LaBeouf, that guy, like you said, John, can act. When I watch Fury, the opening sequence of that movie, when he's standing there and the guy looks at me and says, well, hold on, what does he say? Oh, and he says, when you see, sorry, blanked out. When he says, when you see what another man can do to another man, gave me chills. And I was like, wow, this guy is incredible. And like you said, that's exactly what Spielberg saw. So he's perfect for this role. It's going to be awesome.
Pauly Shore in Son-in-Law and Shia LaBeouf as McEnroe, the best casting of all time. I mean, this is perfect perfect casting. And this thing with Shia LaBeouf, and I have been someone that a while ago, I used to call him Shia LaBoots. I refused to call him by his name because I thought his outside antics were just everything that he did. I was like, I'm done with this guy. And honestly, it was that just do it.
That was awesome. I don't know what you're talking about.
Totally changed the perception.
You don't know
of
what
him.
I'm talking
Okay.
about. I loved
Okay.
it. It won me over as if it was a damn comedy show. And
Do you know what it was? That was his Tom Cruise doing Les Grossman in
Yes!
Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder.
Yes!
That's what it was for him. Won everybody
Amazing.
back.
It was so good, and I turned the corner on him. But it also, Fury was the movie, though. Fury was the one to me that I said, you got to stop looking at this guy as anything but a great actor. I mean, from what he can do. Now, that being said, it's when he's in the big Transformers movies and Eagle Eye. I know some people love Eagle Eye.
and his great turn in Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones swinging in the
Oscar-worthy.
trees and fighting red ants, whatever it was. Like those movies, he has stayed away from them, and he should, because when he's doing movies like this, and when he's doing movies like Nymphomaniac and movies like that, that is when he shines, because he's able to get into character, and this is perfect for him. I mean, they have so many similar. The outbursts. I mean, that's going to be tough. You know? So yeah, I can't. I'm so excited for this movie, and I love everything I'm seeing about it. Big buy.
McEnroe practically coined the phrase, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, yeah.
He practically coined it. All right, what's next?
Please throw Just Do It in there.
Okay, bear with me, guys, because I have 5 trailers for you to buy or sell. So our first one is CBS Films has unveiled the first trailer for Peter Berg's Boston Marathon bombing drama Patriots Day, starring Mark Wahlberg. The movie opens in theaters on December 21st before opening wide on January 13th, 2017. The first trailer has been released for The Edge of 17, the new coming-of-age movie that is an honest, candid, and often hilarious look at what it's like to grow up as a young woman in today's modern world. It stars Haley Steinfeld and opens on November 18th. Open Roads has released the first trailer for Sleepless, the American remake of the French action hit Sleepless Night, starring Jamie Foxx, Michelle Monaghan, and Gabrielle Union. The movie follows Foxx, an undercover police officer, attempting to hunt down the people who have kidnapped his son following a botched robbery. It opens on February 24th, 2017. Fox Searchlight has released the first trailer for the buzzworthy biopic Jackie, which stars Natalie Portman as First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. Directed by the Club filmmaker Pablo Larraín, the film chronicles the hours and days in the wake of President John F. Kennedy's assassination. The film opens on December 2nd. Paramount Pictures has unveiled a new full-length trailer for Oscar-winning Forrest Gump filmmaker Robert Zemeckis' World War II thriller Allied, starring Brad Pitt as an American intelligence officer who encounters a French resistance fighter played by Marion Cotillard. It opens on November 23rd. Kristian, which of these new trailers do you buy and which of them do you sell?
I'll tell you this, I never thought in a million years that this would happen. I buy every single one of these trailers. I was surprised. I thought, like, okay, it's going to be like a 50-50 thing. I was shocked with how many of them I really enjoyed. I buy every single one. Really quick, with Allied, yeah, it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but it's not a comedy. And it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith almost kind of meets Inglourious Bastards in the beginning. But I wanted to see a version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but it's a full drama. It looks like it's going to be intense. I think Robert Zemeckis shines at this type of stuff. I love to see the chemistry back and forth with both Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. But I'll tell you, the one that stood out to me was the Haley Steinfeld one. Because that movie, I was like, what is this? Very similar to what we were talking about the middle school.
It looked just like another middle school.
And I got a lot of laughs at it. And that very end bit with her and Woody Harrelson, we all watched it in the room, and it hit the comedy the way that comedy was supposed to hit us. And it really worked. If they can consistently do that throughout the film, it could be something pretty special. And Sleepless was a movie that it's like John Wick meets Training Day meets Taken. And I was like, okay, Jamie Foxx kind of kicking ass and doing some stuff. That movie could be an absolute nightmare and could wind up being, what was that? But it could also be like John Wick was. Because when we all saw the John Wick trailer, we went, I don't know about this. And then we see the movie, and it was incredible. So I was really surprised with everything I saw.
I'm with you. I'm actually across the board buying all these. And the 17 was the one that surprised me the most. I thought, like you did, this is going to be a throwaway run, and I was charmed by it. I was instantly charmed by it. The two that come close to being sells for me, they are buys. The two that become close for being sells for me, one is Sleepless. I wasn't, the description of the movie, I'm all in. I cannot wait to see this film, and I love Jamie Foxx in action roles. The trailer didn't really get me the way, say, like the first John Wick trailer grabbed me, right? The other one, I know the movie's going to be awesome, but the Jackie trailer I thought could have had a little more oomph to it, just a bit more oomph to it. But although at the same time I'm looking at things like, well, just just give Portman her second Oscar. I mean, that's what it feels like at this point. But all that, other than that, across the board, this was a great day for trailers. I liked everything I saw. What do you think, Dennis?
I'm almost all the way with you guys, but I'm actually selling Sleepless. Out of all of them, I feel like it was the most kind of standard, kind of cookie cutter trailer. Also, I'm a little hesitant. It looked like a mix between 999, which I didn't mind, but I was disappointed by because I'm a big fan of John Hillcoat.
We were so excited about that.
Yeah, so it looked like a mix between that and Taken, except for it's his son instead of his daughter.
Right.
I just not totally sold in that movie. I could change my mind. We haven't seen Jamie Foxx in a while. I think his last movie he was Annie. It was like 2014. Yeah, like 2014. Yeah, he hasn't been in.
He's probably
much
got a bunch
lately.
coming out.
He's doing all those Verizon commercials. He's very busy. Yeah.
So I'm not too sure, but the rest of them, yeah, Jackie I thought was good. It's a teaser trailer, so it depends on how that accent is going to go throughout the movie. Everyone's interested in seeing Jackie and the Kennedys because they're the closest thing that America has to royalty.
Yeah.
And then of course Patriots Day. How well did Deepwater Horizon do last
Not
year?
as good as it should have.
Okay.
It's a great movie. It should have done better.
I still
impressed.
need to
25 million or something.
So around that neighborhood.
I still need to see that, but this is Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg's third collaboration together, and Peter Berg's directing style seems to fit this. He has kind of a more documentary style feel to his film.
He's great with the true stories.
Yes, and so I think that this story lends itself to his style.
Cody, which ones worked for you? Which
Dang
ones
it,
didn't?
Dennis! I'm so upset because we were about to make history. I buy all of these,
Okay.
and we're one shy of having 20 buys. Would that be some kind of record?
It would be,
Dang
yeah.
it.
One
All right.
table.
Well, 19. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
19 out of 20.
I mean, is the Peter Berg movie. I mean, every single movie where he's teamed up with Mark Wahlberg, I've loved. So I mean, that's a big buy for me. The other one's Sleepless. I have been dying for an awesome, like a really, really great Las Vegas action sequence, and I thought
As a native of Las Vegas.
As a native of Las Vegas, yes. And I thought we were gonna get that with Bourne, and we didn't quite get it.
right.
We fell short a little bit. So maybe this is the one. But once again, the trailer, I'm on the verge. I do buy it, but I'm still kind of it doesn't look like it's great. I will say that song that kicked in halfway through the trailer that got me into it.
Got a lot of enemies.
Oh, yeah,
got
that
me.
works.
I was
That
like,
works.
that is in. Like that works. And Natalie Portman, just give her next Oscar. I mean,
Yeah.
I really like that. I felt the tension, and like you said, that's the closest thing to royalty that America's ever had, and it's an interesting take. Like, coming from the wife, that character, and I'll say when you see that there's one shot in the trailer where you see Kennedy over and he's been shot.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was that scene from Watchmen when he
Oh,
gets
right,
taken out.
right.
Yeah, I kind of chuckled to myself. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing while watching this. This is really serious.
Well, you mentioned that movie also. Darren Aronofsky produced that movie, but it felt like an Aronofsky movie.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, you guys mentioned the royalty part of it, obviously with Camelot. That's why I actually loved that trailer, because when you see that shot of them all sitting there, right before she says Camelot, I'm in my head. The second I saw it, I said Camelot. And then she says it. I was like, that's just the vision of it alone, and it's already getting some great buzz. I'm actually really excited for that film.
Yeah, and real quick, The Edge of 17, I had never heard of it, no expectations. And generally when a trailer opens up with praising the movie with all these movie quotes, I'm kind of tentative. I'm like, okay, they're really,
overcompensating.
They're really pushing this on me. But as I started watching it, I had some big laughs, like really big laughs. So I think that's going to be great.
All right, guys. Well, listen. Today is a lot of other stuff is coming up on Collider Video today. Movie Talk is not the only thing. A little bit later today, we've got Kristian Harloff and Jedi Council is going to come up a little bit later. That's going online at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time a little bit later. And also, X-Men Apocalypse is now available on streaming and on Blu-ray. So we decided to do a DVD commentary of X-Men Apocalypse. That goes up on Collider Video a little bit later today. And keep your eyes open tomorrow when Riley and Roca face off in the movie Trivia Schmodown. That goes up online tomorrow at 2 p.m. Listen, guys, we do the show live, so we save a little bit of time at the end of each episode to take your live Twitter questions. Here's how you get a question on. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and start firing in some questions. Wendy is monitoring the board over there. She'll pick some out. But for now, let's get to mailbag. Natasha, what's our first mailbag question today?
Eric Pena writes, is it just me or do the special features on home videos seem like they are lacking nowadays? Back in the early 2000s, when selling 2 discs was not a special edition, there used to be hours upon hours of bonus content, some of it even interactive. Today it seems like there isn't much to look at in terms of bonus content, even if you buy some super ultimate overpriced collector's edition. What's your take?
Yeah, I've griped about this a lot. in my day. Like, I mean, look, everybody knows I don't like the prequels. I don't like the Star Wars prequels.
What?
But those, but those DVDs have some of the best extra. I mean, if you're into filmmaking and storytelling, just watch the bonus features on those things, and you like seeing into the world of how they made those movies. I love that crap. Like in today's age, like you got to give me a reason. Like I'm the type of guy, if I like a movie, I'll see it 2, 3, 10 times in a theater, whatever. You got to give me a reason to buy your Blu-ray. And there's a reason why, like myself and Ann, if there's a movie I really like, I'll just pay $3.99 on the streaming first on Google Play and just watch it one more time. If you want to get me to buy your movie that I already saw, invest a little bit of extra money. It doesn't take an awful lot, and get creative and put some great bonus features in there. Give us stuff we haven't seen before. Give us your damn director's commentaries. Give us, I'm looking at you, The Force Awakens. give us this kind of stuff that's easy to do, and we get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I hate the trend that we're getting less and less of that bonus content. It drives me crazy. Where are the days of those prequel discs? Where are the days of the Lord of the Rings trilogy when Peter Jackson, the studios, put like 4 or 5 hours of bonus stuff.
It was like 20 hours, man.
Yeah, like on
So
each
much
disc.
stuff.
It was crazy good. So yeah, this stuff drives me crazy. What about you, Kristian?
I agree with everybody. I think that the thing is that it goes back to the Transformers movies, right? Why do they keep making them? Because they keep making money. Why do they keep doing these versions of the Blu-rays? Because people keep buying them. People keep buying them. So I think that the commentaries is the one for me. You talk about Force Awakens. Not only would I like to see like a J.J. Abrams commentary, how cool would it be? It's like J.J. Abrams sits down with Pablo Hidalgo and Harrison Ford and they do a commentary on the entire movie. That type of stuff used to happen. It doesn't happen very often anymore. I think it'd be a nice way to reward fans, but it's certainly not a way to bring in more money because people still buy them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what it's about. It's about money. The reason why there's not as many. I love special features. I'm one of those people that still buy Blu-rays, even though I have Netflix, Amazon. I have all that stuff. But it's because less and less people are buying DVDs and Blu-rays that they're not going to invest the money into those special features. I would love to see them, but the trend is people are going on Netflix. People are digitally renting these things. Some people are pirating stuff. So the trend now is there's so much content that people aren't willing to invest not even just the money, the time to watch these things.
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean,
Cody?
the last time I remember watching that stuff was the Man of Steel Blu-ray. I watched all that stuff.
Me too.
And that was pretty great. They did a solid job on that. And then obviously like the 30, 40 hours of Lord of the Rings extra footage,
Yeah,
which
I
of
watched
course
all
I
that.
watched. Yeah, just of course. Why not make it available on Netflix or Hulu? Like, why not when you click on a movie on Netflix, like it says play here next to it could be, and here's the bonus footage. Here's the bonus material. If it was there, would more people watch it? You know what I mean? Like I certainly would,
Yeah.
Right.
but I mean, I don't see why it couldn't be readily available.
Yeah.
If you're good at something, never give it away for free. All right, what's the next question?
Okay, Ryan Boucher writes, "Hey guys, love the show. With The Simpsons entering its 28th season, what are the chances of ever getting a sequel to The Simpsons movie? Or what about ending the series with a movie? Love to hear what you think."
This is how long The Simpsons has been on TV. I remember as a kid coming home from school. I don't know why this memory sticks in my head. Coming home from school, reaching into our mailbox and pulling out the TV guide that was in the mailbox.
What's a TV guide?
I know, right?
I don't know what you're talking
And
about.
on the cover, what the big cover story of TV Guide was, The Simpsons, I think it was in like episode 2 or 3, or season 2 or 3, was moving nights to go head to head against the Cosby Show. That's how long The Simpsons has been on TV. It is crazy to see. 28th season. Anyway, and you know what? They got real stale for a while. I've watched some episodes recently of the last 2 seasons. They're getting pretty funny again. And they've been dry for a long time. But at any rate, I remember when they made that Simpsons movie, and I enjoyed it. But they said it was a nightmare trying to do the show and then do a motion picture at the same. They said it was a nightmare. As a matter of fact, I remember, who does the Family Guy? Seth MacFarlane was talking about that's why he believes he's going to probably hold up because of the experience that the guys at the Simpsons had. He believes he was going to hold off until the Family Guy was done on television, and then they'll do it. I do believe they'll make another Simpsons movie, but I think they'll absolutely wait until the Simpsons has finished its TV run. That's probably good for 2 reasons. Number one, it gives them the chance to really focus on making the movie, and number two, I think there'll be more of a hunger for Simpsons content if it's not still on TV. So that's kind of the way I see it. Dennis, what about you?
Yeah, I haven't watched Simpsons in a while. I think I stopped watching around season 9. It started to get less and less funny. And then when I forgot what season the movie ended up coming out during, but I was very skeptical about it because
20 or 21 or something like that.
And when I finally watched it, I actually thought, hey, this is actually pretty funny. So I'm actually looking forward to one. But yeah, right now it's on air. It's just making so much money for them, and I just don't see when that's going to stop. They're just going to keep riding that thing all the way until they run it into the ground.
People keep watching it. Cody, you
correct
still
me
into
if I'm
them?
wrong, but didn't they do the movie because the show they were planning on ending it? Wasn't that part of the original plan? That was my assumption.
You mentioned that, and that rings a bell.
I thought, but I mean, either way, I mean, like it just keeps on going. I mean, I remember as like a little kid, that was nowadays the Family Guy is the big one, but back when I was like 10, 11 years old, my mom like wouldn't let me watch it. So
No,
I'd, like,
parents
sneak
wouldn't let me
sneak
either.
off to my friend's house to go watch The Simpsons, and it was just funny. And so
What do you think?
I think it'll end once the series finally ends in about 30 years from now. They'll do they'll do another movie. That's the way to end it for sure. I think that, like you're saying, from how difficult it is to do all that animation and to do a feature film.
Yeah.
That's really tough. As far as them ending it, I think that was negotiation stuff. I don't think they're ever really seriously.
Oh, yeah, there was
thinking about it.
cast stuff going on.
I think that's what it was. But yeah, I think that they should do it at the end. And we don't need a movie right now, but it'll be nicer because I think it's smarter to do it as a movie at the end because all of the publicity will come. This is The Simpsons last season. And everyone's like, whoa, and more people will tune in to see the last season, and then ending it with a movie. It's just, we'll go with the marketing. And I wish we had a camera right now because Cody's been standing there right now like the Blair Witch for the entire last like 10
in the
minutes.
corner.
So ridiculous. I'm going to tweet out a picture of that. It's so silly.
All right, guys, as I said, we'd save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. So, Wendy, what have you picked out?
Jordan Cruz says, how come you guys don't have merch? I would love a Collider shirt or a Movie Talk shirt and etc. Just a thought. #big fan.
You know what? I mean, Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong here. Dennis and I, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have talked for years about doing merch, and we get some ideas, but then we just get so busy with everything else, we never really follow through. I mean, there's also been a little, when we were under the AMC umbrella, there's some issues there about AMC wanting different merchandise out. And now that we're here, hey, look, we have talked about it. We've looked at stuff. I think it is safe to say that Collider video merchandise will be coming. I just can't say when.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking for a while, and the design, it just becomes a thing where, like, a lot of people have different input, and we got to just actually make it a priority, and then that way we can make it happen.
Kristian, you're a little something about whoring yourself out.
merchandise. Yeah, of course we should get shirts. I've been singing that song for a long time. I'd love to see some Collider merchandise, and I think it'll happen.
Cody says he'd buy it.
I'd buy it hands down.
I mean, I think there's a 50-50 chance if we had it ready, he would have been on the Olympic podium with like a Collider video shirt
for sure.
Like maybe a Damn It Dennis shirt or a But John shirt. I'm not really sure. Okay, what's next?
All right, Norseed says, the marketing for War of the Planet of the Apes has started. Are you looking forward to the movie? Teaser trailer soon?
We got to start this one with Kristian.
Apes on Tanks! I absolutely cannot wait for this movie. It's one of my most anticipated movies, just like every Apes movie has been since they released the first one in 2011. I loved when the synopsis that came out. I loved what Matt Reeves did with the last movie. You know that, as you say with George Lucas, I worship the altar at Andy Serkis. He is the best performance capture. He's one of my favorite actors right now, and I love hearing that he's going toe-to-toe with Woody Harrelson. I cannot wait. As far as a teaser trailer goes, yeah, I think we'll get one towards the end of the year because it releases in July, I think, of next year. So I think that's a smart way to do it. I think it would be smart marketing to put it right in front of Rogue One. So here's to hoping.
I mean, look, the first two movies have teased us with the war that changes the power, that apes are now dominant on the planet and the humans. Yeah. I mean, they teased in the first one with that bridge scene. They teased in this one with the colony thing. But now it's actually happening. We're going to see, they talked about how this is the movie where we're going to see Caesar become the legend. He's going to become their Moses figure in this. I cannot wait. So you're damn right. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah,
Cody.
I mean, I remember in 2011 when the first remake was coming back out again, everyone's like, Planet of the Apes, really? And that movie blew everyone away, and now it's obviously one of our favorites. So I can't wait seeing Caesar just be the leader that he was born to be, and finally see this war actually come to fruition. Just so excited. And I think Andy Serkis he's so amazing. Like, he deserves an honorary Oscar in my opinion, because there's no Oscar for motion capture,
right?
And we can go on and on about that, but he's incredible. So just
Dennis.
so excited.
I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, Rise was a surprise for me because I had no interest in whatsoever. Trailers didn't appeal to me. I heard a little good buzz. Saw it. I loved it. And then the second one I liked even more, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And then this one, I'm excited because we're going to see the war, but I do want them to still concentrate on what I liked about the first two, which is kind of the character development of Caesar and the human character. So I hope they don't deviate from that and have it just an all-out war thing, because then you're going to end up with like a movie like the last Hobbit movie. It was just, you watched it, and it was just like all fighting and just no character development whatsoever.
What about you guys at that table there? Natasha, when are you guys looking forward to the next Planet of the Apes movie?
Absolutely. I love the whole Planet of the Apes movies. It's so exciting and like so fun. So I'm looking forward to this.
Believe it or not, I was not a fan until they rebooted it, and then I watched it because Dustin was like, you need to watch it, it's so good. Then I watched it kind of like at his, tug and pull. And now I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to see it back on screen.
I'm not surprised. I mean, a lot of people's first exposure to Planet of the Apes was that Tim Burton movie.
Oh man!
So I mean, that's.
I'll make your prediction. I bet you Koba comes back.
I totally think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he will. I think it'd be cool because I think this one they're not going to worry. I think they're not going to worry about the internal struggle of the apes. I think they're just going to go full blown apes against humans. I think that's going to be it. But it'd be interesting. Be interesting if they did. All right, what's next?
Greg Dalton says, "Would you guys be up for a Goonies remake / sequel if the Stranger Things director, the Duffer Brothers, do it?"
Well, look, they've been talking about a Goonies remake or possible sequel for years. I mean, on Movie Talk, we've talked about it a couple times over the years when either a producer or one of the actors at some point comes out and says something. Nothing's really come to fruition. But, I mean, look, if they announced that the guys from Stranger Things did it, I don't see that as a perfect fit. I mean, I'd be cool with it. I'd be totally fine with it. That could be good. But I don't think just because they did one thing that was kind of 80s set necessarily means a modern incarnation of the Goonies, whether it's a reboot or the Goonies 30 years later. That doesn't make them an automatic fit to me. So I'd be fine with it, but not much more beyond that. What about you, Dennis?
I personally would be more interested in seeing a sequel. That's just because I love the original so much.
And the cast.
But I feel like a remake would probably make more money, because selling the sequel, I think, is a little harder.
What do you think?
All you.
Who are you going to have replace Cyndi Lauper? Kesha? No, I don't know. I think the Duffer Brothers, absolutely. I love Stranger Things for sure. And I think that those kids would be great as the Goonies. But I think you leave the Goonies alone. I'd much rather see them maybe develop their own kind of 80s type of spin movie, which would be cool. The other problem is with Dennis, as far as a sequel goes, after that Good Morning America performance, I don't think we're going to see Corey Feldman for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
I think we're going to see a long time. So let's stay away from sequels and let's just watch it on good old Blu-ray.
What are you thinking?
I totally agree. I mean, anything the Duffer Brothers do at this point, I'm excited about. Stranger Things was, in my opinion, the greatest show of this year thus far. And we've had a lot of really, really great shows. And I mean, the Goonies, it's the Goonies. So who knows? And we've had news stories about a potential sequel or
for like
reboot
a long
or
time,
whatever
yeah.
they're going to call it.
Yeah.
All right, last question of the day.
Last one comes from Derek Spicer, and he says, question for Cody: who do you want to face in the Schmodown? What is your strongest categories, and who is your ideal Schmodown partner?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I have already been challenged by the infamous LED or STD.
I think it's STD.
Whatever. Or, they call him Little Mean or something like that. I don't know. He thinks he's a patriot. I mean, I'm actually on Team USA, so I think I'm a little bit more of a patriot than himself. But we're going head-to-head next week, so that's going to go down. So make sure you guys tune in for that. As far as a partner goes, I haven't really thought that out yet. Strengths. I mean, I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, so Harry Potter would be my strengths. And then Oscar movies as well. I mean, I love the Oscars, so those would probably be my biggest strengths.
You guys actually did a little Harry Potter competition.
We did one on the Schmoes this past
and
week.
Campea was on it.
Yeah,
actually.
Absolutely. Ann was on. And then, speaking of Schmoes, this gentleman will be on tonight. We'll do some Harry Potter stuff.
Okay, guys, and that will do it for this episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, the most important part of our show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Jump into the comments section below and leave your thoughts on any of the topics that we discussed here today. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng.
Kristian Harloff, where can people find you?
You can watch me watching the Goonies and listening to Kesha at Kristian Harloff, at Kristian Harloff. And also Jedi Council is coming up, like John said, 5 o'clock. And mentioned Schmoes Know Tonight with Mr. Cody Miller, so make sure you check that out.
The aforementioned Cody Miller. Cody, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just at Cody Miller. Find me swimming and talking about movies. And thank you guys for having me on today. This was amazing.
Got it, man.
This was awesome having you here.
Cool.
And of course, over at that table, we got Natasha and we got Wendy. Where can people find you guys?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Natasha_Lexus_.
And you can find me on YouTube at The Movie Couple channel and also on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you can simply follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram just at John Campea. Joining us, and until next.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.